All right. We've got Bill Lockwood and friends. Do you need more microphones, or will you just... Okay.
Yeah, hi, I'm Bill Lockwood. I have a vocal problem, so I have some friends here to read the books for me. But I'm a retired social worker who started writing. I wrote a book, and then I wrote another one. This is my third. And Miss Anna. Anyway, this book is set in Puerto Rico. I had a good time in Puerto Rico in 1992. I was there for a visit because my wife, Jeanie, did an internship there, and I went down at the end. And so anyway, I set this book in 1992 in Puerto Rico. So first, this is Jeanie Levesque, my wife. These are Samaira Aldrich and Caleigh Plunkett, all members of the River Theater Company, which we also work with. And Jeanie will start by reading the editor's notes, or my notes.
This is some historical background. To the tourists in the 1990s, the Caribbean was a Jimmy Buffett world of easy drinking and long, lazy afternoons. Mayagüez, Puerto Rico, was, however, a working port city on the west coast of the island, the opposite end from upscale shops and restaurants of old San Juan. History of Puerto Rico. Christopher Columbus discovered Puerto Rico on his second voyage to the New World in 1493. All the Western Hemisphere had been granted that same year to Spain by Pope Alexander VI, overriding any claim to the island by the Taino Indians, who were already living there. This is an aside, but does that sound familiar? In 1898, I couldn't resist. In 1898, the U.S. won the Spanish-American War, and Puerto Rico became a U.S. territory. By 1900, Puerto Ricans had been granted U.S. citizenship. So, unlike the rest of the Caribbean, except the U.S. Virgin Islands, it is not a foreign country. But, unlike the territories of Hawaii and Alaska that became states, Puerto Rico has not. Political movements for both independence and statehood have come and gone, and territorial status has remained. The island has a definite Caribbean culture and dominant Spanish language, but the citizens have Medicare and use the same blue mailboxes we have on the street corners in New York City or in our smallest Midwestern towns. There are old expats from the mainland in the bars here and there. They and the locals may well be spending Social Security money. In the fall of 2017, Hurricane Maria wreaked havoc on the island. The future is uncertain, but in many ways it will not be the same.
Okay, so the first reading that Samaira's going to do, I just want to let you know that these people are in a bar. Anna, my lead character, is the bartender who is also, comes and sits with these people, but they're all Americans in Puerto Rico.
No talk of tuna anymore here, Captain Bob said. No talk of business allowed in this bar. Anna appeared at the table again. I saw you come in, she said to Confrisi. She set a beer down in front of the newcomer to the table. Gracias, señorita. Confrisi smiled. De nada, Anna said. I will join you all in a moment myself. Captain Bob raised his mug. A welcome to our visitor from New England, he said, and they all clicked their glasses together for Max. Here's to the good hospital. Thank you. I have so quickly found, Max said, and they all clicked their glasses and drank again. Max felt a little lightheaded from all the beer he had consumed in such a short time. He forced himself to focus on what was going on. Confrisi looked at Max. So, Senor Max, they tell me you have a long ancestry in New England. My ancestors date back to even before the old whaling days. Are yours Puerto Rican? Cuban and Puerto Rican, Cofresi suggested. I have heard my ancestors were all mostly pirates. Both the captains laughed at that. Anna returned to the table and put down her backpack and her usual mug of dark Puerto Rican coffee before she pulled up a chair at the corner of the table between Max and her father. Captain Bob spoke as if making an announcement. We must tell Max of our local tradition. We must play a round of poker with you to celebrate your arrival. Poker? Max asked. We just might offend the gods if we don't, Captain Jim warned. The gods? Max asked. The gods of Santeria and all, Captain Jim explained. I won't go and name them all, but you know. You don't want any dried chicken bones left on your doorway. And I won't go into all that kinds of things. But I'm staying at the Hilton, Max objected. You have to go through a gatehouse to get anywhere near my door. Ah. But the Hilton is here on Mayaguez, here in Puerto Rico. Captain Jim dismissed the objection with a wave of his hand. Max, you're in the Caribbean now. Oh, Max said as if he agreed. So if I play a game of poker with you guys, I'll be just fine? Absolutely, Captain Bob assured him. No dead chicken bones at your doorway. Works every time, Captain Jim agreed. It's our way, Cofresi suggested. Anna took a long drink from her coffee mug to keep herself from saying anything. Good, Captain Bob said. I just happen to have a brand new deck of cards. He pulled it from his pocket and handed it to Max to break the seal. Max broke the seal and put the cards on the table. Captain Jim scooped them up and started to shuffle. We each draw one, Captain Bob explained. High card deals first. Right, Max agreed. Senorita Anna, Cofresi spoke up, perhaps you will go back to your job for a moment and bring us all good rum drinks for our game. He looked at Max and added, that is a part of our tradition as well. Oh no, Max refused. I only drink beer when I play poker for money. I want to keep my mind as sharp as I can. That's where I draw the line. Please, no, I'll risk a few bones in my doorway for that one. Captain Bob shrugged. Don't say we didn't warn you. Captain Bob, Max said, didn't you tell me you usually win when you gamble? Well, I like to win too. Do you usually win? Captain Bob asked. Are the gods on your side then? Max laughed. We shall see, gentlemen, we shall see.
Okay, so then, actually I should say that too. I said everybody was American. Cofresi is my villain. He is Spanish and Puerto Rican and Cuban. Okay, and then we'll skip down a little further. I will say that Anna is the bartender, but she also pilots her father's boat. And Caleigh.
I've never used a podium or mic like this before, so this should be fun. Anna hadn't been at the bar serving morning beer to the regulars very long before she looked up and saw a woman she had never seen before enter the door. Besides being a complete stranger, the woman was dressed in a dark business suit. Except for the fact that her skirt was rather short, she did not at all fit the casual look that almost everybody chose for a place like the La Salida. Anna had on a pretty blue I Love Puerto Rico shirt that day. And what Anna didn't know was that the visitor was Miss Parker from Cofresi's staff at the tuna plant. Anna watched as the woman stood for a moment looking around and thoroughly checking out the clientele. Then she walked over to a free space opposite Anna at the bar. She had a deep tan and dark hair, but Anna sensed the newcomer was a mainlander and not a native. Anna spoke in English. "What'll you have?" she asked, her usual question of anyone whose usual drink she didn't know. Miss Parker paused a moment and frowned slightly, as if Anna's question had surprised her. She said, "I came in here looking for a particular man." Anna almost said the standard, "Aren't we all?" But there was more than one thing that made her feel leery of this woman. Instead, she asked, "Does this particular man have a name?" "His name is Max," the newcomer stated. "He's a mainlander. He's here on business. My employer has been here with him in this bar." "Max isn't here right now," Anna answered with information that was obvious, and she knew her answer did tell the stranger that she knew who Max was. There was silence for a moment. Then Anna asked, "And do you have a name?" The woman thought a moment before answering. "Parker," she said. "Jane Parker," and she extended her hand. Anna slowly reached out and shook it. She was thinking, "Miss Parker? Isn't that the name of the woman Max said? Oh my God." "I think you also know my employer, Senor Cofresi," Miss Parker added. Anna smiled. She was thinking, "And he thinks you should be Senorita Parque de Bombas." But Anna said, "Yes, Senor Cofresi comes in here from time to time. He has drinks with my father and his friend, and your employer sometimes brings us groups of businessmen. Your employer doesn't share drinks with me. I know him in passing, that's all." "I see," Miss Parker said. "But do you expect Max to come by here soon?" Anna shrugged. "He hasn't shared his schedule with me. So you work at the tuna plant? Can I get you a drink? I can put it on Senor Cofresi's tab." "You are drinking a coffee," Miss Parker observed. "If you have more available, I'll have one too." Anna looked at the diver's watch on her wrist. "At this time in the morning, yes, we do." Miss Parker hoisted herself up on a bar stool and sat quietly while Anna got her a mug of strong, dark Puerto Rican coffee. She looked a bit uncomfortable. Anna wondered why. "Milk or cream?" Anna asked. "Milk," Miss Parker answered. Anna set the mug down in front of Miss Parker and waited for her to say more. "Is your father the one whose boat Senor Cofresi hires for his night fishing trips from time to time?" Miss Parker asked. Anna waited till she took a sip of the coffee and set the mug back down. "He had a boat and did that in the past," Anna answered. She remained guarded. "He is the one. My employer says your father's boat has the very best pilot in the fleet, and he will hire no other for his trips." "I have heard he says that," Anna agreed. "Actually, I have heard him say that myself." Miss Parker frowned again. "He also says the pilot is the captain's daughter." "That's true, too," Anna agreed again. Miss Parker took another sip of coffee and thought the answer over. "Then you are also a pilot?" "I am the pilot," Anna nodded. "I am that pilot, the one your employer seems to count on." She did not smile. "Ah, and you are also a bartender," Miss Parker said, as if she suddenly understood. "All true, but my father no longer owns the boat, and he is no longer the captain." "But Senor Cofresi has hired the boat for a fishing trip tonight?" Miss Parker was still confused. Anna smiled. "How long can I keep this up?" she was wondering.
Okay, so, I was told I can throw it open to the floor for questions if anybody has any questions. Yeah.
What the poker game?
You have to buy the book. It's a very important thing to the plot. Okay, so, yeah.
Are the three books related to each other?
Somewhat. Let me get this question and I'll say more about that.
What's your next adventure?
Oh, well, the next one's going to be a spy adventure set in Malta. Writers of this kind of book are always, you do about one a year and you're always, a book ahead of the book that's out. You're writing, the editing process is really long. So maybe I'll be here next year. So I went, to answer the question of, I'm going to let Jeanie read just a little description of my other two, Buried Gold and Megan of the Mist. Max appears very briefly in Buried Gold, but he will appear in the next one set in Malta too. So, this is a romance company that published these, and usually it's the woman that goes from story to story. So I'm putting a little twist on that.
And by the way, he thought he was writing historical fiction.
Well, it is.
But
It's
the
1992.
publisher determined it was
Romance.
Romance. Romantic fiction. So, buried gold was the first one. A box of $10 gold coins was buried on Long Island during Prohibition. True story. It's in the town that my parents had a house in. Evie and her teenage daughter stayed just a step or two ahead of the competition for her grandfather's treasure. But their search is complicated when an old-timer is murdered. Getting rich is not easy.
Okay.
And Megan of the Mists. During the troubles in Northern Ireland during the 1970s, Megan helps run contraband over the border for the illegal Irish Republican Army, trusting the ancient fairies of the mounds along the way to see her safely home. She resists being drawn further into rebel plots, but how far must she run to escape the influence of the IRA? If only her fairies would save her.
Okay, if anybody wants ordering information, I have flyers. Thank you.